All right, gang. Good morning. This is Nate Baer, lead technical tactician for Monument Traders Alliance and Trade of the Day. And in today's video, we just want to go over kind of the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq and show you where we're at and where I kind of think we're headed, and then check out and see if we can't find a trade setup to look at for today. All right. So first things first, if we click on the S&P 500 here, the biggest thing for me is right now we're in sort of a, what's the best way to put it? We're just like in this seasonally difficult time to be a swing trader to the long side, if that makes any sense at all. If you don't know what I mean by that, just August and September tend to be a little bit bearish, choppy, more difficult. It's not like this smooth sort of, uptrend higher. I imagine we're going to get more instances like this where we have these sharp dips, maybe something that looks like that, right? Where it's not as clean as it sort of has been. And because of that, I am taking the approach and the mindset of just, let's see what the market can give in terms of opportunities intraday. I'm going to stay a little bit lighter on the swing side of things. And I want to just sort of attempt to not be totally cash at the end of each day, because I don't say I really enjoy swing trading. I'm not going to ever be a guy that says I'm going cash 100% every night and I'm never going to have anything every night. But just less of my portfolio on any given day will be allocated towards holding swing trades, probably for the next 2 months. And because of that, because of the seasonality that we're in here, I am looking at this day trading approach and thinking shorter term trades, period. So one of the best things that one of the best ways, my favorite ways to trade is to trade what I like to affectionately dub as lottos. And basically what that means is I'm trading shorter dated options, typically slightly out of the money, shorter dated options, and looking for smaller time frame setups. So like, for example, instead of trading instead of trading Apple and looking at this weekly chart and saying, hey, you know what, I think maybe Apple is, got this beautiful squeeze and maybe it can sort of run higher here over the next few months to new all-time highs. Like, that's a swing trade, right? Instead, I'm looking and saying, all right, let me go over to S.A.M and try to find a setup that has a bunch of A plus squeezes that are all stacked up and sort of quote unquote ready to go right now. And then I'll go and attack. Okay. So that's kind of the idea. And speaking of which, kind of just put the cart before the horse here, but the setup that I'm looking at here is VRT. All right. And as you can see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 A plus setups in S.A.M. If you don't know what S.A.M is, that is our AI scanner, which goes and it looks for these A plus setups, for these TPS setups. So a couple things to note about VRT. Number one, it's very strong. Right here is the all-time high, pulled back, and we are now back up into this testing of the all-time high area. If we look at the daily, I want you to notice that this is an earnings sort of winner, right? So it's up into earnings. Here's earnings, popped up, a little bit of a pullback with the indexes, and then it's now doing this consolidation thing, and you can see it's got squeezes on a bunch of different time frames. One of the ones, let me get the extended hours out of here, and we'll look at the 195-minute chart looks great here. So as I'm looking at this, for me, this is just a really nice pattern, woodpecker pattern. And essentially, if we can break over this pivot, right, which is about 141.50, I think there's room up here to the 618, which is around 146, and then there's a gap close around 145.50. So a nice little target, right? I'm not looking for new highs, but can we get a $5 or $6, $7 move out of this pattern? And if so, can I use some cheaper out of the money options to sort of take advantage of that, right? So if we go and look at the options, we can do a couple of different things. We can do something, I know this video doesn't get to you guys until, around noon on Tuesday. By then, maybe it's too late. I don't know, to use shorter dated options. We'll see. But what I would actually recommend here is one of two things. I like the $145 calls. If you can manage them, right? They're cheap, but you can get in for probably $1.15 at the open, depending on where things open. But that's a cheap option. The other thing you could do is just go out another week in time. If you're like, wow, that's really scary, trading an option that expires this week and it's out of the money, and I get it. But you can go out to next week and do the same thing. Pick up these 145 calls for next week instead. They're still very cheap. They're still only, $2.50. And then looking for that $6, $7, $8 move, saying thank you very much, I'm out, and then that's it. So you get in, you get out, right? You get in, we got all these squeezes, we let them fire to the long side if that's what they want to do. We get out and we're done. And the nice thing about this too is if you look at this, let me zoom in like a 30-minute chart so we can look at this sort of flag. If we break below here, right? If this doesn't hold, right, and we sort of start breaking down below, I would say, right in through here, probably 139, 130, we'll call it 138. Right, that's where I just let it go. All right, well, I'm going to get flat. Maybe it breaks and comes back, and then I can get back in. Maybe it breaks and starts working its way towards 130. I don't know, but at under sort of 138, I'm out. So I'm getting in at say 139. Right, it's at 139.50 right now. I'm risking down to 138, so it's a $1.50 risk, and my target is up here at 146. So I've got a $6.50 upside reward versus a $1.50 downside risk. Pretty solid risk reward. And if we're talking about with options, right, that might be a 20-30% loss on an option versus a 300% win on the same option. So excellent risk reward. That's the setup I'm talking about this week. I'll get this typed up and sent out to you guys. I hope it helps. And I'm going to be focusing again on this, lotto style trading, the shorter term, the day trading, the smaller time frame squeezes, 30-minute charts, 15-minute charts, etc. Get in, get out, and then get closer to being just safe overnight over the next couple of months as we're in this, seasonal period where things are just a little bit tricky. Swing siding to the long side of the market, not very consistent. Okay. So that's what I've got. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good one. Later.